Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here. I almost said the name of our own show. Of our
really?
Our old name,
which named our old show.
almost dropped it in there. Look, it's been a couple weeks since we've seen you all, and so it's been, you get out of the rhythm. You have to get back into the rhythm, but I've jumped back in 2 feet off of the holiday, the Thanksgiving holiday. John, how you doing, my friend? I hope your holiday was good. I hope you had a good time. Hope you got to relax a little bit, though I'm not sure with a young child if that's possible.
Relaxing is a spectrum. I think when you have a young kid. So I was relaxed. It was good. We had good meals. I saw my family. It was good stuff. It was like everyone else or many other people, I have started a post-Thanksgiving diet, and I immediately regret doing so. But this is what you do. You eat too much, and then you feel bad about it, and you punish yourself. How about you, Ted? What did you do for Thanksgiving?
I went and saw family, went and saw friends over the weekend. I feel like it was I was like bouncing around the entire state of Virginia. I went to Harrisonburg, trying to avoid. I don't think JMU football was playing, but I guess now they're bowl eligible, so no one's mad anymore, right? That's how that works.
I think they're all good now.
Yeah, and then I went to Richmond, so I feel like I've hit like sort of a triangle between the state and my home here right now in Lynchburg. If you've been unaware of my move, and noticing that I have a different background and everything, which will be eventually when I find time, I will make it look nice and pretty. I promise by the season opener, it'll look nice for all of you.
So are you in a new place in Lynchburg?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there for several weeks, several months now at this point. Jeez.
But I know,
Same place. I haven't changed.
Okay.
I haven't changed.
Got it.
I just feel like some people just maybe still assume I live in Richmond. There are some people out there that think that you're a Richmond Kickers fan, for example.
They do. So. There's quite a few of those. I wonder how they got that impression. I can't imagine why that happened. Anyway, our lovely fans. The fans are the best.
Yes. We have some really amazing fans. We have some other people who we call them our fans, but we're being maybe a little sarcastic. Right. Anyway,
they still listen. A couple of things. One, I want to call attention first to this very, very cool T-shirt that I got from Bootleg MLS. There was a bit of a conversation going on about not wanting to pay Big Bad Fanatics because they suck, which I agree with because they're horrible. But you could. I don't know how long this will last. Basically, is what I'm telling you. This account, Bootleg MLS on Twitter, is like selling all these shirts. He is misspelling some names. It's wonderful. This is like a real shirts out of the back of a truck situation, but for MLS and NWSL. Go check it out. Buy it before it gets shut down because it won't be long. There's a Santino Carranza shirt that I requested. I don't love the pictures he chose, so I'm not going to buy it, but I recommend you guys should make it happen. Do it. Yeah, and if you go by, tell them I sent you, and maybe we'll get a coupon code, and maybe we'll get to choose the next DC United iteration. And the other thing I want to do is tell you thanks to those of you who are on the old threads. We're growing. I think I have about doubled our follower total on threads to like 200 now. So woo! We're only 1/10 of our amount on Twitter. So it's a slow crawl. So if you're on that platform, follow us there. Make sure you're following us on goals.tv. Check that out. That's a new platform that we're happy to be a part of. And we've started to post all of our video clips and the entire shows also on YouTube. So if you're not a Twitch person, if you're like a old millennial, you're like, I don't understand this Twitch business. YouTube, you understand that. Go check it out there. And then of course, everywhere you can download audio, we're there. And then finally, this is my last plug. Well, not my last plug. My last plug this week for you to join the Patreon. If you would join the Patreon at the $5 level, you would have got an episode on Friday that Ted talked about all the great things that went on over the course of the week before we had a show. So Ted and I alternate. If we have more exclusive content, it will go there only to Patreon. So there you go. It's a small but mighty crew, and they're very loyal, and they've been there for a long time. So if you're listening, and I know you guys are, thank you. And if you want to join that group, patreon.com/RFK Refugees.
Yes, and the exclusive content, nothing we can announce presently, but we're working on trying to get a certain figure on the show. So if you want to hear,
that will be a time gated. They'll be here at first.
So be aware and join the Patreon because you get to support our show, and we really do thank everybody who comes in and supports the show. helps us out and helps grow the show and pay for a lot of the stuff that's helped made the show great. John, let's jump right into it. And
did you watch any soccer this weekend other than obviously MLS playoffs, which we'll talk about? Did you watch any across the pond soccer by any chance?
A little bit. I did. I checked out, of course, Liverpool. I'm if you don't know, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I watched Liverpool Man City 1-1 draw there. So decent result. Brentford could not hold it against Arsenal, unfortunately. I've been watching some of the. It looks like Everton's about ready to make the drop after a 10-point deduction.
They are really mad. To be fair, I do. I'm not. We're not getting the particulars because, as I said on Threads, this is not a Premier League show, but it is wild that they're the team that gets punished for spending over their means. I think they just didn't. I think it's like when a rich but not very rich person gets audited because they didn't have enough money to hire the good accountant. Like I think that's what this is likely is. So unfortunate for them and for their fans. Maybe they'll still make it out. I think probably not. I think that'll probably tank them. But did you see the Garnacho goal, the Man United bike? That was pretty silly. And then I was laughing, thinking I was looking at Twitter today, and it was saying that Benteke must feel like the forgotten man because he scored basically an identical bike against Man U at Old Trafford from the same spot. It went to the same part of the net. So yeah, don't forget the Crystal Palace legend / he played Liverpool. Where else did he play?
Liverpool.
Just those two? Anyone?
He's played a little bit in Belgium too. I think
Aston Villa.
I'm trying to remember where. I have to go back and look at his stats. I know
I think Aston Villa was the last place.
He's played in Belgium. I know that much. So Crystal Palace was where he came from. He was at Crystal Palace, and then he came here. So, but yeah, no, fantastic goal from him. Probably going to win goal of the year at this point. And I think the comparisons were to Wayne Rooney as well for his bicycle kick,
his shin goal.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so we got club soccer's back, thank goodness. Last week was international soccer. We're not going to talk about the U.S. men's national team. There are plenty of other podcasts that do it better. Some of them do it worse. All I will say is, everybody, again, what I say with the U.S. men's national team is please just take a breath and relax. Breathe in. Kevin Paredes, though, got a start. Didn't look so hot. What do you like? So I said online. I said online about this, and so I said we weren't going to talk about national.
Yeah, and here we go.
But it's DC. But it's DC focused. What
Sure.
Can you help me understand? Do you have any understanding as to why? Like when Kevin was here, he played wing back, and he was excellent. When he played winger, he was never really that effective. I am struggling to understand why he got to Europe by playing the right wing back position and the skills he showed there to track back and defend. And I saw a little bit actually in the first Trinidad game. I think he lost possession, tracked back, won the ball, got the team back on the pressure. What was going on, and why is it that I think personally, if he plays at wing back, his potential is to be elite. If he plays at winger, I think he's just going to get kind of lost in the shuffle. I'm not understanding what's going on there. Do you have any? Do you know anything?
I don't. I think it could just be maybe in training. Maybe that's what he's saying, and that's what his coaches want him to do. I don't know. To your point, there's your competence in what you want to do, and taking on players from the wing may not be it for him. And somebody was saying Kevin Paredes could not dribble past players who are at USL Championship level. Or playing in the domestic Trinidad and Tobago League. So that's not good. That's not really what you want to see.
Yeah, no, because that's never been his skill set. He's never been a guy who can take guys on the dribble when running at full speed. And he beats players with pace and speed and just, and you get that more from wing back because you are not forced into sort of tight, slow situations. You're kind of maybe you're pushing up on sort of an off, where you've got attackers on a counterattack that are moving quickly and you're running and you're trying to join that attack. And I think that's where you've seen him be the most effective. It's what got him to Wolfsburg. So I'm really not understanding the thought process by certain coaches in where he's currently playing right now. So anyway,
who knows?
That's enough. That's enough U.S. men's talk. We've met our quota for the year, I think, on that.
Yep.
Let's talk about the big news. I think all the DC fans want to hear about. We finally have announced a new GM. I think it's MacKay, I believe is what it is, right? Am I right about that?
We've not heard it said anywhere yet or talked to
I
him.
tried. I'm pretty sure it's Ali MacKay. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go.
I already made a minor threat Ian MacKay joke, which no one got. I think 2 people got on Discord, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna make it a lot. There'll be a lot of Fugazi jokes.
I'm sure. We'll get it right sometime by the time the season starts. We'll guarantee that.
Maybe if we talk to him, we might get it right. Who knows?
You have a 3-year deal in the notes. I thought I saw it was a 4-year deal. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but otherwise, multiple.
It's either a 3 or 4 year deal.
Yeah,
one of those. I think it might be 4. You might be right.
Yeah, so he has spent 5 years as an assistant GM in Nashville, and he has also Nashville's made the playoffs every year. What are our let's bury. We had essentially 3 candidates that we were looking at. We were looking at Tall. We were looking at Maria. Tall from Columbus and Maria from Orlando, and then obviously Allie, who we've hired,
and an unnamed international candidate.
But I think that was just let's look.
Ravel Morrison was the guy that we were talking to, because he's already under contract. Might as well make him work.
Yeah, I think that was more just like, hey, let's see what else might be out there. Let's not limit ourselves just to MLS. Obviously, the hire, I think we were all kind of wondering what was taking so long. Tom Bogart posting about what was taking so long. We had all thought that Ali was out of the running when Nashville lost, and we thought, well, there hasn't been an announcement yet, so it must not be him. This maybe, I think of the 3 choices, I think this was not the number 1 choice. I think we had heard a lot of good things about Tall. I think we had heard a lot of good things about all 3 of these guys. We
were going after Moreira really hard in Orlando and asked numerous times and got rebuffed numerous times. I think he was the number 1 candidate. I think he was who they wanted the most.
Yeah, I think it was. And I think it's clear how much they chased him and how they were rebuffed. And then they said, well, we'll speak to him again. They were very clearly looking at him. I think Tall I'd heard a lot of good things from, I think Tom Bogart especially, and his sources that said he was an exceptionally brilliant person. We'll never know what the reason was for there. We talk about this team and, what they spend money on and everything like that. You're getting a 37-year-old, youngest GM, I believe. I know he's one of the youngest, if not the youngest GM. I'm not sure youngest GM in MLS history, but certainly up there as far as age. Makes me feel weird that somebody who is literally 5 years older, who I could have been in high school with.
That's weirder than the guy being younger than you. That's way weirder of the version.
Fair point. So we're all feeling a little odd.
Everyone's weird.
Yeah, but young guy, I can't imagine, and that's what makes me lead to believe. And this is nothing to say that I don't think he'll be successful or that I don't think he can be successful. This leads me to believe that the team still maybe weren't willing to break the bank for other guys who maybe had a little more experience, who had a little more, chasing them. Maria, I believe, has been targeted. I believe he came up in the search for, I think, New England. When they were looking for a GM before. I think they're going to settle. They're going to settle for Kurt Anolfo, is what I believe the reports have said. So
that is. Definition of settling, I think, is a good. He's good at LA Galaxy too. He was good at building a USL version of a team. But I don't want New England to be good, so that's fine. I'm glad that's the case. But he was also a former agent, which I think is going to be beneficial. Mm-hmm. We talked a couple episodes ago about something Pablo said about what DCNA is known for. It's underpaying their front office, overvaluing their own players, and overpaying for other teams' players. So having an agent, although it's a while ago, right? He's been out of the game for 5 years, but he's been in the front office dealing with agents. So hopefully that he can have a little bit, maybe that point of view will be helpful. Dave Casper has not been an agent ever. So being on the other side of the table for a little while might be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think a lot of conjecture, there's been a lot of comparisons about, how Nashville looks and what they've done and trying to apply that to Ali. I will say, I think that's a little unfair. What we do know about him is that he was apparently instrumental in bringing in 2 players, one of which is Hani Mukhtar, who has been a runaway success at Nashville, one of the best number 10s that has come into the league. There's been one of their only real big international signings that has done well. And Walker Zimmerman, they also brought in, who's been successful. Again, MLS player, longstanding MLS player right there. So I think based on that, those are the kind of the resume ticks as far as that goes. We don't know how he's going to handle. I mean, Nashville, I don't believe really had that much of an academy. They were pretty active in going in the draft and grabbing outside players. Again, they also didn't have a whole lot of time. It takes time to build up that infrastructure. Coming here, he's going to have that infrastructure. He's going to have that youth academy, that youth director, that coach, and already a huge swath of young players that with a lot of potential and a lot of talent. So that's going to be a difference he's going to be walking into.
We had a question from a listener from Brandon Cartwright says, is there anyone from Nashville's roster that MacKay might be looking to bring to DC? Alex Muyel keeps coming to mind. I think he should bring a guy named Hani Mukhtar. I think that would be a good DC United. That would be a player I'd recommend. I was looking at the roster quickly. Former DC United legend Dax McCarty also on the roster, and also Joe Willis. So opportunities for come home for both of those players.
I'd be curious to know what the contract, if we know the contract situation of some of those guys. I would love to have Joe Willis back here and goal. I think he'd be fantastic. Dax McCarty, to a little
Goodbye,
bit
on
on the older side. I think Alex Mule would kind of fall under there as well. I think. We talk about this team having one designated player spot open. So that's something he's going to get right away, or potentially two designated player spots open. I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of directions he could take this team. I think he could say, I think we will know, yes, he's under a 3 to 4 year contract. How safe is that job? Is he going to get that full time to build what he wants? And I think maybe we'll see that with what does the roster look like heading into this year? Is it going to be a complete tear down and rebuild, or is he going to say, look, we've got one more year of Benteke, one more year of Click. Let's, let me finish the build while also maybe trying to see if we can set some things up for next year. Go out and get some big time players. And also I think wonder how that's going to be changed. The rumors circulating that, the MLS Board of Governors are voting on potentially a fourth designated player, as well as I've heard an increase to the salary cap, which, is significant. And I think you have to increase that salary cap if you're going to add a fourth DP, because you've got to figure out $500,000 extra of roster space. So you have to at least increase it by that. So there's going to be a lot of room for him to maneuver the roster. We're still waiting to see if Pereira, why did I know that? If he's going to be signed or he's going to return to the team. So, it's going to be interesting to watch what sort of develops over the next few weeks, and then also who's he going to hire as a coach. Is he going to bring in a Hugo Perez? Is he going to bring in? There's a lot of coaches that are out there. I guess go ahead. Give me your dream scenario. Who do you want him to hire as coach?
I want Oscar Pereira.
I was gonna drop in other than Oscar Pereira, because then we'd all love Oscar.
That's the one I want.
He's out of contract with Orlando right now. So
yep, Bruce Arena obviously is now shopping his wares down to Charlotte. So I think that circus has left town as far as a potential option. I don't think that's really on anymore, if it ever was. I think Pereira is the only name that really excites me of available names. I think has Savarese has he found a club yet after Portland?
I don't believe so. He'd be a name.
I think he was definitely being talked about from other clubs as being a maybe. I mean, he's kind of a retread from a MLS perspective. Adrian Heath, he doesn't have a job yet, does he?
Yeah, I do not want. I
don't necessarily want him. I'm just saying, looking at who's around, there aren't a lot of exciting names. Ezra Hendrickson, not really exciting based on his performance. Granted, he was with Chicago, but he's not much better. So
I really want an underrated name that I think that if we're talking about maybe a realistic name that would actually get me excited, and I don't want to say realistic. I think there's a chance I could go get Oscar Pereira. I think Oscar Pereira would want to fetch a pretty penny. So if you're looking at realistic options, I think Robin Fraser would be one that I think would excite me. A coach that has shown he can have success with rosters that are maybe not up to par. Maybe this is an opportunity for him. He's going to get a GM that's going to have says and decisions into the roster. He's got a great, youth academy that he can sort of pull from. That
and
he hasn't
a top
had
10 salary, top 10 spending team in the league. So
top 5 since
top third.
And he'd be a guy. I think he's a guy when he was let go. There were a lot of teams out there that were like, "We'll take him." Absolutely. I think he is a coach that I think has grown a lot of respect, but just has not gotten the opportunities. Like a Phil Neville who just kind of fell up right into Portland. So
would you rather want to have Phil Neville or Adrian Heath?
Adrian Heath, probably.
That's the correct answer. I was just making sure how much your Heath hate had poisoned your brain, and not enough, apparently.
No, I mean, but who knows? Right. A lot of bad coaches off the table, thankfully. Colorado going out and getting Chris Armas, so he's off the table.
Thank you.
So there's
so I look forward to relieving Colorado of its coach sometime during the season if we play them.
Yes. All right, let's talk. Anything else you want to talk about? Any other sort of?
No, let's get to the teams that are actually good and still playing. I think that's exciting.
The teams that are actually good and still playing. We had MLS Playoffs that finally returned this week, the semifinals. We saw the return of the one match knockout rounds. I will say the matches themselves way more cagier than what we saw out of the 3 matches. Like
it's what you got what you wanted, folks. This is what happens in one-offs. Think about all the cup finals you've seen that have sucked. Like you're gonna get intense emotion. You're gonna get very, very tight refereeing decisions, tight everything, and people being mad. That's what's gonna happen in these games, and then you got them. And I would say that all of the games were like B- for game quality and A for tension for all of them. So it depends on what you want. That's what we got.
Yeah.
I have it written down. I like the way we should look at this as DC United fans, because our influence grows everywhere. Is you have Ben Olsen and Houston in the semifinal against LAFC. We don't care about LAFC. That's a non-factor from a DC United perspective. We don't care. The only, I think, DC United connection that ever existed was Dejan Jakovic played for their inaugural team. Other than that, no factor. Against MVP Lucho Acosta.
Andy Nahar erasure, my friend, by the way.
Did he play though?
I think he was on the roster.
I think he just practiced, and I'm not going to count that.
Okay.
Interrupting my Cincinnati love, MVP Lucho, Junior Moreno, onto the semis against Columbus and Julian Gressel, who apparently is in the doghouse and did not feature. Got a little 5 minutes at the end of the game.
I mean, it's a case of him is that I think there's just they have a right back that has emerged, and I don't know his name, but he's been very, very good.
Defensive, probably maybe a little bit better defensively as well.
Maybe
a one-off game.
Maybe I think that's a guy. If you're DC, maybe you just kind of Ali. Maybe you reach out and say,
new boss, different. We have a change. Everyone that you hate is gone.
Changing it. I would love to have Julian Gressel back on this team. Let's talk about the games. Let's talk. Houston, of course, 1-0 winners over Sporting Kansas City. Controversy on the line. Apparent handball call that wasn't called. I have made my statement. I have made my statement that says that I think that was the correct call. I don't know if it was the correct call. I don't think that was a call that VAR should be overturning with kind of how close it was. Christina Unkel has disagreed, and she was on Morning Footy the other day saying, nope, that should have been reviewed back for PK. And she is a much, much better referee than I am, so maybe she's right. But controversial moment there. And then you also had, of course, the Columbus game. Like we said, Columbus very much, I think, kind of dominating that game. Orlando sort of unable to find the back of the net, and then we have a goal. Orlando's pushing up. Galeses is like trying to play the ball, and then falls to Cucho, who hits the ball from half field into the back of the net. 2-0 game over. All the games were either 1-0 or there was the one little 2-0 game. So, like I said, not a lot of goals scored. Then there was, of course, the other sort of controversially ref game, which was, of course, Philly versus Cincy. Appeared to be offside based on the camera angle. Remember, folks, camera angles lie. Camera angles struggle with a thing called the third dimension and actually being in line. So I think there's been enough analysis of that to say, yes, he might have been offside. My argument with that offside call is like what we want. this is like what we want out of VAR, right? We complained so much about the Premier League and like the slight toe that's like offside or everything else. This is, in my opinion, what VAR should be. VAR should be a video assistant referee, not a video referee. So I really don't know what people being upset about it. It's like, you guys are just never going to be happy. It's never going to happen. You guys are never going to be satisfied with anything. I think it's the same thing with the KC goal too. It's like they're watching this like slow motion replay of the ball like hit close to his hand, his chest, his arm moves, and I'm just like, you guys have. I've seen people complain for months about red card situations where they talk about this game is not supposed to be played in slow motion. I'm like, well, here you're using a slow motion play to get a call that you think is right. I mean, it's like, you cannot have your cake and eat it too, soccer fan base. So anyway, and then there was Head Uncle in the LA Seattle game. I don't think he was great. I don't think he cost Seattle the game. I think Seattle did that themselves. When you dominate play the way they did against LAFC, and you're only able to generate like 1.24 XG, there's a problem that you're just hitting hopeful balls or hopeful shots from way far out. They were unable to get any sort of penetration inside the box. So yeah, that's my quick 90-second review. I don't know, John, you got any thoughts on the playoffs? Or
I'm 90-second, maybe, but no, I give Ted all of my time for refereeing and decisions. I don't have a lot of opinions. Yeah, so let's get on to. I broke down sort of the components of the playoffs that exist and how they have done this year that are relevant to DC United fans. I think we have. If you've been on social media the last couple of days, I think everyone is. We talked about this last year, and over the course of this year, like, there has been a dramatic reappraisal of some of these players that have gotten the stink of DC United off of them by going somewhere else and doing well, and people are feeling differently about them, which I think is great. Lucho, as I mentioned today, won the MVP, crushed the media vote. I think 75%. Player vote was like 55%. Just to wrap up on his numbers for the year, MVP ass numbers: 17 goals, 12 assists. 32 starts, 1 goal and 2 more assists in cup play. Not that this matters, but his average score on FootMob was 7.85. And I said Denny Bouanga scored 20 goals and didn't come close to touching it. So well-deserved. A player that, if you were to say, could you fit a Lucho Acosta back into your team at DC United and he could be useful? Yeah. I think you sure could. And he'd be the first name on the team sheet. You certainly could. To a lesser extent, but also kind of surprising, Junior Moreno, 4 goals this year. If you remember Junior Moreno, not a threat to score for DC United, often a threat to hit the ball 50 rows up behind the goal. That's more what he was going to do. 2 assists, again, it's kind of surprising, in 29 matches, average FootMob of 7.16. Could you see him valuable next to a Russell Canouse? Or, yes, I think you certainly could. I think you certainly could see that. And then lastly, Julian Gressel, I think, had the least productive of the former DC United player. To not say that he was bad, there's a particular person that hates Julian Gressel in the DC United fan environment. He had 4 goals, 2 assists in 29 matches, 4 goals, 6 assists in 29 matches, 7.4 average, and then last started in November 7th. I still think, to your point, if you could get him in free agency for a reasonable number being the challenge here, I think. I don't necessarily know that his performance in the last 2 years warrants DP. I think probably a TAM deal again probably makes sense to me. But these are all players that DC United did not want or let go. Ben Olsen, obviously, that's a name that doesn't have a stats next to him, but Houston has become a completely different team. When he took the team over, by the way, read your Stephen Goff piece on him this week. Great piece. And talked to Ben at length. But basically said that this was a blank slate. There was so much roster turnover that he and Pat Onstad got to build a roster from scratch. And in one season, similar to the way Washington Spirit had been described as a work in progress, and we're not there yet, Ben Olsen had been saying that about this team all year long. And they find themselves in the semi. They find themselves Open Cup champions. It's kind of a wild story.
They have a chance at a cup double. They're going to be in Champions League next year. Like, talk about like just the overproducing expectations, like overachieving. I mean, this team was not expected to be here heading
No one
into.
talks about Houston Dynamo in the offseason at the preseason like rankings and guesses on how the seasons were going. No one was talking about Houston, and everyone was mad that Ben Olsen got hired. Like all the Houston fans were like, "Trash! What is happening?"
And it
Why did we
really,
do this?
to me, it really shows when I talk about players, I talk about certain players that have been bad. We talk about these players, some of these players who maybe we had criticisms of, and certainly coaches. You get people in the right environment and in good environments, and they can outperform what you expect. There have been plenty of players that get in good environments, go to bad environments, and then they go back to a good environment. They become great, and people are like, "What happened? Where did this play?" It's like, well, it's always been there. It's just been he's been in bad environments, and we've seen time and time. And this is really what I think Ali needs to solve this year is to get somewhere where we can create a good environment that we can start seeing players that we know are good and we know can perform well.
Absolutely, I think that's a good way to look at it. A couple of news and notes on currently contracted DC United players. Jose Fajardo is apparently he's an Edison Flores in that he rules playing for his national team, and then he turns into a scarecrow when he plays for DC United. Has scored 2 goals for Panama in 2 games against Costa Rica. Each game playing just the first 45 minutes and getting subbed at halftime, which is a peculiar setup for your goal scorer, but maybe he's on minutes restriction or something. Who knows? More interestingly, Andy Nahar, who, again, currently contracted with DC United, played 90 minutes in the 2-0 win over Mexico, which was a bit of a shock result. And then he played 120 minutes and missed the final penalty in the 2-0 loss to Mexico. That put Mexico through. What tournament does that put them through?
That puts them through to the Copa America. So it was the Nations League,
which is a good tournament you'd want to be in. That would have been. No, I'm thinking of anyway. So I wanted to spotlight. I got some quotes. I was digging around in Spanish language media about some of our players. Yeah. So this is the quote from Andy Nahar. Nahar also mentioned the team's upcoming plans for the Copa America and his personal plans for well-deserved vacations. Despite rumors about a potential move to Olympia, Nahar maintained that his current priority is preparing for the team's future matches and taking a break off at the end of the year. That says your agent talked to you and said, stop telling people in interviews that you are going to leave DC United. You don't get to control that. They have an option. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's what that was. Good.
And I think it's also him being like, look, man, I mean, we might be able to get you a good contract elsewhere. We might not be able to. I'm not sure we're not going to get that for you. This might be the option deal for DC might be a good option. And you're not helping yourself by saying what you're saying right now. So by the way, I feel so bad for Andy because he missed the penalty. A wild penalty shootout in the game against Mexico where they have not qualified for the Copa America. They will get an opportunity to. They go to the to a play-in series to get into the Copa America.
Is it against Canada?
It's either to go back and look. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think Canada has. I feel like Canada has.
They have a shot. I know that when Jamaica took the spot, they're going to play the U.S. next. But I know that. Anyway,
yeah.
The other thing about what was I going to say? Andy Nahar also said in that interview. My injuries are a thing of the past. I'm behind that. I'm over that now. See, I just did 120 minutes and I feel great. I was like, okay, well, I hope so, Andy. Yeah. For all of our sakes, I hope that's the case. And then this one's kind of a funny little one. Martin Rodriguez, you maybe hardly knew him. Did not play at all this year due to an ACL tear. Was talking to all these guys go home to their home countries and they're like, I'm about to start some stuff and no one's going to know about it in Washington because no one's going to read this. Wrong. It says, I have a 1-year contract. In football, many things happen, but I'm open. Obviously, my heart is there. Colo always. But the funny thing is he was there in a 7-on-7 tournament, like a street ball tournament. But yeah, I think honestly, the headline was a lot more like, he's coming back. He hates DC. The actual quote was pretty benign there. So I think, I hope he has a great year and I hope they want him back. I hope he has a bounce back and that's what happens.
He would be a guy. He would be a guy. If he's back, I'm thinking, okay, they think there's some juice in this roster and, maybe they want to take a year to evaluate certain players that maybe they don't think have gotten a fair shot under a new coach. And then, we'll see what the next year brings us and how the team does. If he's gone, that means I'm trending towards the idea that this is like a complete retool and rebuild. I could see them.
I'm okay with that, to be honest with you. As we've said before, that'd be fine with me.
Yeah, I love Martin. I'm sure he will be successful. If he goes back to Chile, I think
He better not get injured in this goofy 7-on-7 tournament.
If he does, that's it. I think the team is going to be like, we're gonna mutually agree to terminate this contract, and you can go elsewhere, or we're going to buy you out. Whatever it is, we're not going to register you. You're not going to count. We're gonna.
They've got a lot of. They've got in the drafts. In the drafts, they've got a lot of mutually agreed to terminate contract. They're ready to copy paste that from previous usages if need be.
We'll see. That's coming up December 2nd. I have said it was the 22nd. I was wrong. The 22nd was contract offer. So we assume they have offered a contract to Donovan Pines.
Oh man, our countdown was inaccurate.
It was
this whole
inaccurate.
Time. I think that's how we got the GM announcement.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's because of us. No one else was putting the pressure on the team.
Yeah,
I think we were putting the screws to him.
December 2nd. So I think I'm coming. I believe it. And let me make sure I get this right before I say it wrong.
Another countdown that's incorrect.
But
well, you look
at that. Go ahead. You can continue.
Yeah, well, you look at that. Just a quick note: Griffin Yao scores for Westerlo in Belgium. It was an equalizer in extra time, which you would have thought would have got him a draw, but they gave up another goal. Great goal if you have a chance to see it. I know we posted it on Twitter and probably on Threads, maybe not. But it was not a cheapie, not a tip in. Ran down the right side and blasted it far post on the run. So good for him.
Yeah. By the way, December 1st is this Friday.
Official.
That'll be the contract. That'll be a moment to watch where we're going to find out on a lot of these guys. We're assuming there's a contract. There's a contract extension offer coming for like Teku de Pietro. We hope we see that. That would be very strange if there wasn't. That would make things go sour. That would make things go sour very quickly if that happened. And we'll find out about Eddie Nahar and maybe some of these other players. I don't know if we'll find out. I mean, he still has one more year. There's no option on another year on Martin Rodriguez's contract. But I think if he has an offer from Colo Colo and it's on the table, but it's inducive on him not being in contract at DC, I'm pretty sure DC will be like, that's fine. You can go. Well,
they paid $1 million for him, didn't they?
I think so. So
our team not unless your name is Wayne Rooney, we tend to honor our contracts on our side.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. We'll see.
We've got one question here from Todd Dodge, and it's from Facebook. That's a place that you can do that. We do post on Facebook. Your mom can ask us questions. Whoever is on Facebook, I'm on it more now. But anyway, said, would Ben Olsen ever come back to coach DC United, and would we want it? I thought about this a little bit. I've been thinking about this lately. Would he ever come back? I think he would. I think he certainly would. And I think he goes and coaches a decade at Houston and maybe somewhere else, and then wants to he's still young. He's like a little bit older than I am. Like he's got plenty of time to coach if he wants to keep coaching. And the bug has clearly bit him again. Mm-hmm. He's having fun. Would we want it? I think we would be stupid not to. Mm-hmm. I think he's a Bruce Arena coming back without the baggage of what Bruce Arena coming back means. So if this club is I would like him to come back to a completely different club, basically, than the one he left. A club with a defined culture, with all the things that we don't like about it fixed, that he can just come in and be him. And again, read that Steve Goff interview in the Washington Post. He was talking about I was unprepared tactically. I did not have it, and I could not get it necessarily while I was coaching, and I never really felt caught up. Basically, is what he said. And now I had the time off, and I feel like I'm there. I'm that guy now. So yeah, I think we'd want it back. Please,
yeah,
and that would sign me up.
He's talked about in the article how much he loved DC, how much he loved living in DC, and I think he's happy in Houston right now. I think he's certainly enjoying it right now. But I think if things were to go south in Houston, or things were not to go as well, or he were to decide he wants to leave and he's a free agent, and DC has an opening at coach, I think you would be stupid not to try to reach out and try to bring him back. So
he made a comment that I thought was interesting. He said that it's nice to have people look at you without 20 years of your record on your back, which I think is true. But he'll also notice that if things, to your point, turn bad in Houston, you don't have those 20 years on your back. You are easily fired.
Yeah. whereas
in DC, you had that equity built up and made it a lot harder to get rid of you.
And you gotta almost think about, I wonder if this is thought like he's blown away expectations. If this doesn't end in a MLS Cup championship and they fall short, then the pressure is on now. There was no pressure at all for this team in 2023. No one had any expectations, and that's going to change if things if things go south next season, or after this year, because there's clearly a lot of expectations on him.
And last bit of quasi news: 2023 MLS Tops set is out this week, so go get that. If you're the 5 people that collect soccer cards, I know there's at least a couple listeners of ours. Last season there's a set called Finest. There was only one DC United player in it, and it was Kevin Paredes. This year, the checklist says basically it's Akambone, Ted Kudibietro, a couple cards of him, Benteke, no click, and then I think Christian Fletcher, and that's it. I mean, maybe a Birnbaum too. I'm not really sure. But because there's so many teams and players, they can't conceivably do a set that has everybody. Whereas they used to be able to do that like a long time ago when there was a lot less teams, they could do that. Now it's like, we're not going to have a 1,200 card set. That's not happening. So get your DC United cards if you want them.
Matthias Glick, by the way, starring in a Thanksgiving DC video. I think he's a guy who I think maybe I had some questions as to whether he'll be back next year. I think he'll be back next year based on some of that. So sounds like he likes living in DC, which is good.
Not necessarily the case for all of our prior DC United designated players. Certainly the case. We don't have much Washington Spirit news. We'll lead off with one where I was talking to Ted before the show started, just trying to find some Spirit news, and this thing was everywhere that we were looking, I think just because of who we follow, but there are unconfirmed reports that the Spirit let go a number of sort of community relations staff, the staff that dealt with supporters groups, dealt with sort of like supporter facing players, let them go over the holidays. We don't have anything. We don't have any confirmation of that. We don't know anything, but not really what you'd like to see. There have been a number of firings over the last few years under Michelle Kang that made some people scratch their heads. This is not a team that doesn't have money. If you look at their hiring right now, they're hiring like 1 million data analysts and every other position you could think of in the world. But there seems to be a very short leash on, I know last year the PA announcer got let go. Mm-hmm. There's the ticket office. I think there's an expectation that this team should be in a different place than it is from a sales perspective. Just because, I don't know, because they've got stars on the roster. But I think it's, they're building up more than maybe they think they are. They're coming from a lower point than they think they are, even though they won, even though they got these names. It's a tough market. But yeah, that's going on.
Yeah, I think
we don't have much to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's concerning. I think there's been a lot of things. This team, we talk about the investment, all the positive stories that have come out, and you're now on your third coach in the last 3 seasons. Yes, one of those came with the championship, but one historically bad season and another very disappointing season. And I think
4 coaches if you count the interim coach that's now the head coach at Bay FC.
Yeah.
Which you can't really, but you kind of can.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a concerning, I would say, that because that staff, getting rid of that staff, you get rid of those people that are very forward facing. And if they're replaced by people who are not as good or who don't have, or you're trying to crunch staff, that's going to be noticed. And it was noticed at DC when some of those people left, that suddenly the friendliness of the fan base was not really there. And it really led to sort of a severing of that. And it took, DC had built up a lot of that trust and a lot of that relationship over many, many years. And it took a very long time to break that down. And it finally did break down. My concern with the Spirit would be, you've got a much smaller group of core people in there who are dedicated, who will probably stay through it for a while, but you have far fewer of those, and you're going to lose a lot more people and potentially lose some ground. So I don't know. It's something to watch. It's, the team I think has to go out, and you're successful on the field, no one cares. So
and they were almost in the playoffs this year, but didn't quite make it. So an uneven year for sure.
Uneven year.
I have some very fringe notes here. Jordan Thompson, a player that most people maybe not remember because she has not played for the Spirit yet. She had an ACL injury and didn't get to play. Is on loan to Sydney FC and scored a nice goal. So she's a player that is now healthy, clearly, and should be in in consideration in preseason. So we'll see. Forward depth is important, and I think also, fans continue, and pontificators continue to think Ashley Hatch is for the off to Utah because she went to school there, because she's from there. It's an open question. No one's hinted either way from either clubs. I think if she were part of a package in maybe like the expansion draft protection, like maybe you give her up for protection and a first round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's something you think about. She's still in an extension. There is no player that has her. We have no backup for her. Unless you think we bring Crystal Dunn in and she's a 9.
She's back in the national team fold as well. She was called up for this upcoming friendlies against China. Andy Sullivan and Ashley Sanchez were not called up. Kingsbury and Rodman were. Something to follow there is apparently we're seeing some options being exercised as to the national team pool out there. So
new coach means you're going to look at new players. I think give more time and to evaluate new players.
It's a little surprising. There's some big names that were left off on that roster. So that's something that you've never really seen from the U.S. women's team. They've always kind of ridden the same roster. They've got a lot of these players under contract, a lot of big names. And I think it's led to some times where they have stagnated. We always talk about like this team's been dominant for years. For a while there, they would make it to the knockout stages and bow out of the World Cups. They in 2003 and 2007 specifically, they did not. And 2003 was in the United States as well. Due to it was 2007. No, it was 2003. 2003 was in the United States as well. It was going to be in China, but then there was the COVID and everything. So then they had it in the U.S. or not COVID. SARS was the virus at the time. Anyway,
other SARS
news there.
First SARS.
But
SARS 1.
I feel like they've always been a team that sort of held on to those players, and they're going to ride them to the end. And they did that, I think, a little bit. I thought there were players like Ashley Sanchez should have gotten some minutes and got nothing in this game. So I think we're seeing maybe the team realize that, hey, we can't really do that right now. We got to give some looks and we got to maybe try to build something new. So something to watch for the U.S. women's team.
Starting left back Gabby Carl also gets a call up for Canada. Mm-hmm. That's good for her against Australia. That's just a friendly. And Riley Tanner gets another call up for Panama. She plays for Panama nonstop and does not play for the Spirit. I have a friend who's the biggest Riley Tanner fan that exists. She's Panamanian, so I mean that's why. But good for her. That's another getting those minutes is good, particularly when you're not getting them here at the club level. And I know that you covered this in the Friday show for those folks who were not Patreons. You should be patreon.com/RFK Refugees. A couple players were let go and classified as free agents. So the players that have been let go: Ines Jarina, back to France, most likely; Maddie Elwell and Nicole Douglas. Nicole Douglas, a recent draftee who did not figure too much, but was a favorite of Mark Parsons, I believe, from prior. And Maddie Elwell just didn't really get the time, didn't really get minutes, even on a roster that was, in the last 2 years, beset by injuries, beset by call-ups, having Challenge Cup, just didn't really factor. I think she played a lot more 2 years ago in the also horrible year of 2022. But so that's going on. Now there are a bunch of free agents, and why you need to take this with a grain of salt is because if you sign a free agent, you have to protect them. So as all these teams are waiting to get picked over by the expansion clubs, Bay FC and Utah Royals, when's the expansion draft? Mid-December?
December 15th.
Thank you. I'm a calendar man right now. So basically these players are not going to get signed. They're just going to be sitting here. Clubs will probably speak to them and figure out where they're going to go, but unless they think that there's a player that they will lose and they will throw a player off of their 9 to keep. I don't think there's any player on the Spirit that counts for that. So players that are on that list, I'm trying to remember. This is from my brain. Amber Brooks, Cam Bagalski is a restricted free agent. Marissa Shiva is a restricted free agent. Mm-hmm. Nicole Barnhart's a free agent. Who else? Is Tara McKeown a free agent? Or is she?
No,
I don't think so.
She's on the roster.
Who else? Do you have the list? Are you pulling that up?
I'm trying to. I can go pull it up. I know that Amber Brooks, I think.
Tori Huster's a free agent.
Unrestricted free agent, yes.
Yep.
Here we go. Let's pull it up. And I did this all on my Friday show, so you can see. We have a Nicole Barnhart, Amber Brooks, Bailey Feist, and Tori Huster are unrestricted free agents.
Bailey Feist is the one I forgot.
Yeah, Bogalski and Shiva are restricted free agents. So basically, I think you're looking at that list. I don't think Barnhart will have much interest. Amber Brooks might. I think, and Bailey Feist, I'm sure, might. Tori Huster as well. I think I would say I would talk to her. I think she would deserve a potential role. I'm not sure what her status is, but she's been a long time Washington Spirit player. I would love to see her.
Time.
Yeah, I would love to see them work out some deal. If she still wants to play, come here. You can still get to stay in DC. We'll give you a decent contract, and we'll also pay you to be a coach as well. And we'll help start that aspect if she wants it. I don't know if she does, but I would love to see her on the coaching staff.
Amber Brooks is an interesting name. Just from a standpoint of needing a third center back or a fourth center back. Mm-hmm. The name that I have seen cycle around for a free agent that should come to DC is Tegan McGrady, who did not play much in Portland this last year. I think it'd be great to bring her back, put her right back, and then move. Why can't I not remember her name? Our right back who used to play center back, or used to play center defensive midfielder. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Give me a second, folks. It's late.
It's late, and we are off our game. We haven't been here very long. Dorian Bailey, is that what you're thinking?
Dorian Bailey,
yes.
Who there have been challenges providing cover or a secondary backup for Andy Sullivan for 3 years. Every year we've been covering this team. It was players get injured, players get brought in and aren't unable to do anything. So I think that if she's able to move back to her natural position, even though she did well right back, and Tegan McGrady comes back in and is fit and can play, I think that'd be great. There's a lot of folks that are big fans of hers. Wow. So if you go to let's say if you go to the roster page, they still have everyone everyone on there, but they can only protect 9, and under 18 players are exempt, and everybody else you have to pick, and players that are long-term injury you don't have to pick. So if you look at this roster, it is hard. It's hard to keep Paige Mateer if you want to keep 9. It's hard to keep Bailey Feist. Well, you don't. You're not going to there. Uli Madasar is a potential hard one to keep. Patel is a hard one to keep. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this. Particularly again, no coach, still coachless. This is the GM show in Washington for now. So.
Yeah, and no real news or rumors or interviews or anything going on there. I'm wondering.
I think we said it. Mark Krikorian's going to do all of it. He's just going to add another hat.
Yeah, I guess so. He's talking about how he doesn't want to be a coach. He was asked about whether he would take the coaching role. I think early when
first press conference.
Yeah, and he was like, "Nope, I'm done with that. I'm just going to be the GM." Crystal Dunn, also another name I would love to see return to DC.
Sure,
she's an unrestricted free agent, I believe.
Can she play as a 9?
Yeah, she can. Absolutely. Yeah, she was a Golden Boot winner. She's moved right back, I think, out of the amount of talent that was on that U.S. team. And
I know she played. I know she's had forward experience. I didn't know if she was more of a winger or a part of a two forward system.
Yeah, she's definitely been an attacker. She was excellent in that sort of the before times. She made an excellent where the Spirit made an excellent run to the championship game when she was an attacker.
Well, there you go. That makes Hatch more expendable in my view. If you could convince her to come back here and pay her what she needs to be paid
and play her forward. I don't know. I think we'll see Hatch. Stay here.
I don't want Hatch gone.
Yeah.
To be clear, not advocating for that, but if she wants to go, there's ways you can make it worth your while.
Some excellent social media content she does with her husband.
No one
it's
else does
fantastic. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it. So I think we actually held a little bit to our briefness of our show. We actually did a good job. We did a good job. We did it, folks. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk more. I'm sure we'll have contract deadline discussion to talk about. Maybe we'll have a coach. Maybe we'll have a coach to talk about. So
maybe. Thank
you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys in a couple weeks. Vamos.
Thank you for listening to RFK Refugees Podcast. Make sure you rate and review the show wherever you download podcasts. If you want to support the show, consider joining our Patreon or subscribing to our channel on Twitch. Lastly, make sure you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, Twitch, Goals.tv, Friendster, MySpace, and Tumblr. Some of those are even real. Vamos.